I can only have one of those. I can't eat that. It's bad for me. What? No, I totally cannot eat that. I will get fat if I eat that. Does any of that sound familiar to you? If so, then you are a likely victim of diet culture mentality, thanks to our lovely culture. And guess what? Your diet culture mentality is probably what's keeping you from losing the weight you want to lose. I would know, because I started at 150 pounds and now I'm at around 110 pounds. When I discovered as a therapist that I could change my thinking and help me lose weight, it transformed my life forever. And so today I want to teach you how to get away from diet culture mentality and teach you some new thoughts that's going to help you better reach your goals. What's up, mamas? Alexandria here, 35-year-old toddler mom, therapist, and gym rat. In order to do this, we must first challenge and understand the thought that's keeping us from losing the weight that we want to lose, and also what to do differently. And so today I'm going to set up for you these 6 different thoughts, and then what to think alternatively and how to teach you to think a bit differently about it. Thought number 1. Good food versus bad food, or healthy versus unhealthy food. We hear this all the time, right? And we see it in marketing materials, so that certainly does not help our cause. But when we think about food from a good or bad standpoint, we are putting ourselves in a food dichotomy. And when you label foods as good and label foods as bad, like let's say a donut, when you label foods as bad, it actually creates a scarcity mindset and makes us think that we can't have a food and therefore we want to consume all of it, and makes us want it even more. It makes us crave it even stronger. So rather than creating this good food or bad food, it's really important that we evaluate our calories and the food that we intake from a neutral standpoint. Food is neither good nor bad, it's just nutrient dense versus calorie dense. And that's okay. All food serves different purposes, and it gives us the opportunity to choose foods based on our mood and also based on what our body needs. If you've had a really big workout, you may need some carbs. And if our body is craving carbs, that's not necessarily a problem. It becomes a problem when we start to binge said carbs over an extended period of time. But you know, it doesn't matter if you're eating like 30 cups of fruit versus, 5 donuts or whatever. It's going to amount out to the same calories when you are looking at it in a calorie budget. So rather than framing it as good and bad, give yourself some neutrality on it and allow yourself to eat food that is both soul nourishing and just feels good to eat and you just really enjoy, and also the foods that are maybe good for your eyesight or good for your muscles, whatever you want to do. My point is, food is not your enemy. So don't treat it as such. You don't have to say, I was good today because you didn't eat anything that actually had any flavor or value. Thought number 2 is under a similar umbrella, which is choosing a specific diet based on what's cool and popular. Right now, I think carnivore is cool and keto is pretty cool right now, but the reality is, anytime you're choosing a specific diet to follow, you're likely falling into diet culture mentality. The reason being is because that the function of a diet is to help you stay in a calorie deficit. And calorie deficit is the only proven way we can actually lose weight. You have to eat in a calorie deficit to lose weight, period, point blank. That's just science. The challenge is that all of these different diets market that they can do it better or smarter or faster or whatever the case may be. And maybe that's true for some people, but let's say you tried keto and you weren't successful on it. Maybe that means it's not the right diet for you. And the reason that these diets work is because they are cutting your caloric intake. They're just doing it in different ways. So for example, carnivore diet. The reason that carnivore diet is successful for some people is because you cut out any of the foods that have carbs. And when you're strictly eating this high protein, you do certainly stay full for longer because it takes our body longer to process and digest the protein. That's why carnivore diet works. And now there's some research to suggest that maybe there's some long-term negative impacts to doing carnivore. So my point being is that I'm not hating on carnivore diet. If it worked for you, great, peachy, cool. But my point being is that by falling into different like fad diets or what's cool or what celebrities are selling at the moment gets us away from the strategy and what the reality is for us when we're trying to lose weight. The goal is to eat in a calorie deficit, period, point blank. And you as an individual have to individualize it and find a way that works best for you, what's going to fit best into your lifestyle. If you want to eat Gushers every single day for the rest of your life, you can do that and still lose weight. How? By eating in a calorie deficit for all the rest of your meals and taking those 80 calories and making sure that you remove 80 calories somewhere else. That's literally it. And so other people who will tell you otherwise are probably trying to sell a product to you. And certainly I'm not suggesting that you should eat Gushers every day. If you want to, fine, great. I really like Gushers. They've kind of become my pre-workout. Who likes Gushers? Anybody? Nobody? It doesn't matter. In that same vein, don't just choose the diet because JLo thinks it's cool or Madonna thinks it's cool or that's what Kelly Clarkson used or whatever. I think they decided she was on Ozempic, right? Somebody help me. I think they decided she was on Ozempic. It doesn't matter. My point being is you have to choose what's sustainable and functional for you, not what's sustainable and functional for someone else. What has worked for me is keeping calories in a calorie log and calorie track. That gave me the knowledge to know what I was eating. And as long as I make it fit in my calorie budget and I prioritize my protein, that's my goal, that's my focus. That is what has worked for me. Maybe for you, you would rather poke your eye with multiple needles than to log your calories. And that's okay. You have to find what works for you. Maybe you're the kind of person who likes to measure by handfuls. Whatever works for you. My point is, make it sustainable and make it something that you'll actually do. Thought number 3, this one's gonna get some of y'all mad probably, but it's seeking out skinny over everything else. Hear me loudly and clearly when I say this to you. You are valuable in the body that you are in. It does not determined by your size. Your jean size, your pants size, your shirt size, your dress size, whatever. That does not determine your value as a human being. Period. Point blank. I don't care what Vogue told you. I don't care what Cosmo told you. I don't care what culture tells you. It's not true. You are valuable in the size that you are. That being said, having excess body weight and body fat can be a signal of unhealth. So rather than focusing on looking a certain way in a bikini or looking like the model you saw in a Vogue issue, focus instead on how do I feel? What feels good for my body? Are you in pain? Are you tired all the time? Do you never have any energy whatsoever to do anything? Do you run out of breath every time you walk up and down the stairs to go get something? If so, how's your blood work look? If so, maybe that's a signal that you need to be reconsidering what it is that you're doing to take care of yourself, or maybe what you're not doing to take care of yourself. And so I encourage that you focus on how you feel, what feels good for you, and what do you want to achieve. And it's not necessarily wrong to want to lose weight. I want to be very clear about that. I'm not telling you don't lose weight. What I am telling you though is if you're losing weight because you want to look like the Victoria's Secret model, that's not a good reason, and you also won't be able to sustain it because you're not going to be able to eat like that Victoria's Secret model forever because she's getting paid to look like that and you may not be. And people will do a lot for a paycheck. What's the purpose here behind all of this? And if the purpose for you is to, lose weight because you want to be healthier or live a longer time for your family, that's the money. Because once you realize that that's the goal, longevity becomes the goal, then you can wrap your mind around doing the things and being the person you're supposed to be to do those things. And listen, if you have found this video useful or helpful in some way, I would love if you would let YouTube know and let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. It lets me know that this kind of content is useful for you and helpful for you in some form or fashion. Number 4 is having cheat days or earning your food. I can't even with the earning your food thing. Food is not a reward. Food is not something that has to be earned. It's just something that you eat. And so I get why people do that to themselves. They want to make sure that they're getting in the things that they need to be doing. They want to make sure that they're getting in the exercise that they want to get in. And so they say, well, if I do that, then I earn this beer or I earn this cupcake or whatever. The problem is that what happens on the days where you don't do the thing you say you're going to do, you feel bad because you ate the cupcake or you had the beer or whatever you've deemed your treat food. When you do this over time, it ultimately ends up creating this negative relationship with food that can lead to some really serious problems like EDs. But food is just food. Focus on being the type of person that works out or being the type of person that takes care of their body by eating healthy and nutritious food. And in doing so, you reframe it in a way that gives you a positive outlook rather than a negative one. About your future self and what they want and what they will become, rather than focusing in this very present moment where you're earning and getting the reward right there in that moment. There's the instant gratification, right, of eating the cupcake. But maybe instead, if you're in this frame of like, I want to live for a long time or I want to be a healthier person, and that's what healthier people do, maybe you and future self make the decision not to eat the cupcake. Not because you can't have it, but because you have bigger goals that go beyond this instant gratification moment. Number 5 diet culture mentality is comparing what you eat to what other people eat. Oh man, this one. Y'all, listen, if you are comparing yourself to what somebody else is eating, it doesn't even really matter who it is. It could be your neighbor, your friend, your spouse, whatever. It doesn't matter. But if you are comparing yourself, that is like saying that my husband and I should wear the same shoe size. I have no business wearing his 11.5 size shoe, and he has no business wearing my 5.5 size shoe, because we are not the same. And so everyone's diet, everyone's preferences, and what everyone eats is going to look different for different reasons. And there's really no reason why you should be comparing yourself to what Susie ate at a barbecue to what you ate at a barbecue. Maybe Susie had a late lunch, and so the fact that she's just eating an apple and a handful of chips is because she had a late lunch and so she's not that hungry. But maybe you didn't get to eat lunch and maybe you really want some barbecue. That's okay. And pretending that my calorie budget and my husband's calorie budget should be the same. He is almost 6 feet tall. Okay, that's generous. He is like 5'10", and is a much bigger person than I am. So his calorie budget should naturally be twice the size of my calorie budget, because I don't make 5 feet tall. And so comparing yourself to other people and assuming that you need to be eating the same things or the same ways or the same calorie budget as someone else to lose weight is not a fair assumption. Assess for yourself. See what you're actually eating on a daily basis, calculate it, put it in, and then subtract that 10 to 20% from it. Let that be your starting calorie deficit, because it really may surprise you how much you're actually eating and the impact that just making that small change could really have on your goals and helping you get towards that dream body that you have or that goal weight that you want to achieve. And also make sure you're focusing on the goals that are important to you. Your goals may look different and your calorie budget may look different based on the types of goals that you have. Maybe if it's muscle gain, those goals are going to look different than, losing fat. Those are not necessarily competing goals, but they do have different pros and cons in terms of how you would think about that nutritionally. It's also really important to understand what these different kinds of things do for your body. It's important to understand what protein does. It's important to understand what carbs do. It's important to understand what fat does and what purpose it serves, because when you know and understand what these functions do for your body, it's much easier for you to get a realistic perspective on how much of each of these things that you need. Number 6, y'all already know, the quick fix. You already know I'm going to tell you about the teas and the diet pills and all of the things. Look, I totally get it. I understand why these strategies work. I understand why when you see an ad for this detox tea, or you see this ad for these like leggings that are going to help you burn fat, that is the stupidest crap I've ever heard. I disagree. I disagree wholly. No, I'm sorry. Don't believe it. It's probably not true. I would need a lot of scientific evidence to believe that that's actually true. My point though is that I understand why it happens to us, and we're biologically designed to want to find the easiest solution for things. Our brain is actually hardwired to do that. I've been listening to Atomic Habits currently because I wanted to, and it was reminding me of this idea, right? That we are biologically programmed to want to put things in easy mode. That's what our brain likes to do. Cognitively speaking, we take up more energy and brain power when we have to think through things. And so our brain wants to do things in the fastest and easiest way possible. And that's why this sort of marketing strategy works on us, because we feel like, oh, well, if I can just take this pill, or if I can just use this supplement and it's going to help me lose weight, then I want to do that. The reality is, unfortunately, is that the only true way to lose weight is to eat in a calorie deficit. Say it with me. I've been saying it all video. Eat in a calorie deficit. And the way you do that has to work for you. And so again, I encourage you, don't be fooled by the ads. The likelihood that one of these is true is very low. So don't believe the ads. Find the strategy that works for you to keep you in a calorie deficit in a sustainable and healthy long-term way, because that is where the magic will happen. I say though that there are some micro habits that can help you get started on a trajectory that really helped me. There were some micro habits that I started, and having even not read Atomic Habits, but now I see they were micro habits, but that set me up for success. And that video is coming very soon, so make sure that you subscribe if you want to see that video. And for now, make sure you go check out this video where I share with you all of the different mistakes that I wish I would have known sooner and I would have done things different. And until next time, bye friends.